Hi everyone, good morning and good evening if you are in different time zone. Thanks for joining today's Salesforce Tableau CRM Einstein Analytics training from svtechsoft. Okay, today is the free demo. Okay, as we are conducting our regular classes from tomorrow onwards. Okay, tomorrow onwards, the timing will be same timing 8 p.m. IST. If you want to enroll, you can contact to svtechsoft for the regular batch. It's already a lot of people are enrolled. If you want to be part of this training, please contact the svtechsoft. I already charted in the message about to register the regular batch link. Yeah, our trainer is Havinas. He will be take over for the session. Yeah. Havinas, we can take. You can share
Sure,
your
sure,
screen.
yeah,
You can do.
sure, yeah. So, I think you need to give me permission, Kishore.
You can share Havinas now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Actually, it's saying disable share. You cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. I think you need to disable your sharing.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Yeah, I'm done. Now you can see.
Sure, sure, yeah, I'm able to share. Okay, so I hope you all can see my screen. So this is the Trailhead org. Fine. This is the org where you can get your pre-Tableau CRM. So here you just provide your basic details. I would recommend you to provide your personal email address. Okay. And you can just provide any company details and all these things. That's fine. And it's a very simple procedure. You can just click on sign me up. So when you give your personal email address, one link will be sent. If you verify it, you will be able to open your account. Okay. This is a very simple thing. So let me just paste it over here. So you need this link. I think it was um, I think Sai was talking about it. So this is the link, Sai, fine, where you can have your free Tableau CRM org. Okay. So once once you make your free org, you're going to land up on this page. And as I told you, this is a completely separate product. So here, when you click on this app launcher, so in Salesforce, this 9 dots which you see, this is known as the app launcher. If you hover over there, it's also written, as you can see. Okay. So right now, if you click over here, you get to see this Analytics Studio. Fine. So when you click on this Analytics Studio, you're going to land up on this page. And this is basically a product. So any company or organization who hasn't purchased this product, they won't be having this option, okay, of coming into this Analytics Studio. Fine. And this is basically an analytics tool, Salesforce Tableau CRM, where you are going to analyze the data. And of course, you can also modify the data. So basically it works on ETL approach. So I think a few of you have already worked in some analytics tool. So in analytics, we always follow this ETL approach, right? Extract, transform, and load. So that is also something which Einstein Analytics does for you. So I might be saying Einstein Analytics throughout my session, or maybe sometimes CRM Analytics. So just to avoid confusion, it's just the naming changes. Currently it's known as CRM Analytics. Prior to that, it was known as Tableau CRM. And earlier it was known as Einstein Analytics. Most popularly still called as Einstein Analytics. Fine. But anyways, ultimately the tool remains same. All the functionality is same. A little bit of change just came up here and there. Fine. So right now, like here, you can just go to data manager. So for extraction, you can always extract the data. Transform is like if you want to do certain transformation over there. And finally, you can load in the form of data sets or dashboards. Okay. So here we have certain objects. For example, there is some objects called accounts, contacts. These are all standard objects. So somebody who is new to Salesforce currently, basically Salesforce is like, just like you have some Excel sheets prepared for you, right? For your organization. What Salesforce does is it basically creates certain records. For example, you can see so many records I have, right? So account name is basically a standard object of Salesforce. Standard object means an object which is already created in Salesforce. Fine. For example, if I click on new, okay, you get to see all these fields populating for you. Fine. Just like in Excel sheet, we maintain some organization details, right? This is a new version of it, you can say, in a way. This is also like collecting information in the form of database in a completely new format other than your Excel sheet. So here you can store your account name. Account is basically like by default it's an organization name, but it varies also. So you can give any company name. Okay, then you have certain fields like rating, what is the rating of that company and all those things. Okay, the phone, fax. So you always see this star mark, which means it's a compulsory field, you need to fill it up, otherwise you won't be able to save it. Then you have further details like how many employees, the ownership, okay, whether it's a public, private, the billing street, the shipping address. Fine, all those information are being collected over here. The description information, additional information. Fine, to be honest enough, I am not completely aware of all these fields, and you don't need to be, but at least there are some common fields which you need to be aware, like the account name, what is the parent account, the type, what is the account type, which industry it belongs to. As you can see, this is a pick list value. Like when I'm selecting something, I can select any value, right? This is known as pick list values. So already some values are populated over here. Of course, you can add some others from your own as well, but these are some of the standard pick list values which are already provided. Fine. So this is a proper way where you can store in your organization details. So for example, I already created some records over here. If you see, fine. For example, if I open this one, if I go to the details section, you can see all the details of this particular organization, like Thomson 136 Inc. Fine. Who is the owner of that? What's the account name? From which industries belongs? What's the annual revenue? Fine. All this information, the number of employees who are there. So all this information you can see over here. Okay. Similarly to this, you have something called as the context, which stores the individual details. Okay. So for example, if I click on new right now, okay, you get to see the first name, the last name. So the persons who are working for that organization, ideally as default, we store that in this contact object. So you can store the first name, last name, the phone, home phone, all these further details, email, the mailing street, other address, the languages, the level which they are in. Fine. So here also, like, I don't have complete knowledge of all the fields, but you need to be aware of a few fields, and these are very basic stuffs. Okay, so it's more like a database which stores information for you. For example, if I open this 𝐶𝐶, so here you can see all the details of 𝐶𝐶. Fine, whatever you see over here. Okay, and similar to this, we have something called as leads. Okay, so leads is like someone who is just who could be a potential customer. For example, you all who have attended this session, you all are in a way leads. Like there's a potential for me to convert you all into an opportunity. When can I say you will all be converted into an opportunity? When you will be purchasing this product or you will be enrolling for this course. Okay, but for now you all are leads for me. Okay, so these things we always have certain information populated. Like I can easily store your first name, for example, like say Sarmishta. So I can easily store Sarmishta name as first. Sarmishta Panda I can store over here. I can save. I can store a company details. Okay. Then I can store her mailing address, like lead source, how I got in contact. Okay. So I don't know how I got in contact with her as we got contact with her, but let's say it got contact through web. Okay. So I can select the web. Then from which industry she's coming from. Okay. Let's say she's coming from engineering industry. Fine. And of course, in this way I can just state. So what's the lead status? So it's working contacted. Maybe we contacted her and it's a work in progress. Okay, what's the rating? So there's a hot chance of this lead to get converted, of semester to get converted. I can mark it as hot. Fine. Then I can provide the address information over here and the additional information as well. Okay, so in this way I can store her information, and once that is, if I get the chance to convert her, right, let's say she attended my course, then there is something called as convert over here. Okay, this convert button which you see. So once if she attend my course, I can just convert her into an opportunity. Okay, so opportunity are like the warm leads, you can say. Fine. And again, by default we usually store the organization name and the contact name, the combination of the account and contact as the opportunity. And there also, like, we have different stages. Okay, like maybe some of you might pay half the amount, or some of you are interested to go for first 2 sessions, then you are willing to pay the full amount, something like that. Depending upon which stage they are in, we can have the stage of that. Fine. It's not that I converted an opportunity and completely closed one. Okay, so it may not be like that. So depending upon which stage that particular opportunity is, I can mark it over here. So in this way, Salesforce give you that opportunity. For example, if you click on new, You can just give the opportunity name, the account name from where this opportunity is coming from, the close date, like when I'm planning to close date. For example, I'm going to start the course from tomorrow. So definitely, if submission gets converted to opportunity, I have to mark the close date as tomorrow, that is 21st July, because by that I have to anyhow close it. Okay. Then in which stage she is in? Let's say she is almost like in the negotiation or review. Like she definitely wants to attend the course, but she is on the negotiation stage where maybe the course which is being quoted, the amount which is being quoted, she wants to get some reduction on that, something like that. Now, if you see based upon the stage, the probability also changes. So for each probability, until unless if I say closed one is 100 probability, and if it is negotiation, let's say it's 90 probability. Okay, so for each stage there will be a separate probability value also which is marked. Fine. So these are all the standard objects which you have in Salesforce. I think one or two persons already know about Salesforce, so that is completely fine for them. For others, any question up till here? This is a very basic thing which I explained you, and this is something you must definitely know of Salesforce at least. Okay, fine. So let me go ahead. So after this, you can always go to your Analytics Studio. Okay. So in the Analytics Studio, you can again go to this data manager. Fine. From here, once you go to the data manager, you land up over here. So here you can just go to this manage data flows, and from this manage data flows, this is where the main transformation happens for you. So basically, when it comes to extraction, you can of course extract all the things from here. So basically, this is the storehouse where all the related information are being stored over here. For example, I had this opportunity, right? So that opportunity information I just stored over here. Okay, the account information is stored over here. Fine. In this way, we get to extract it. Fine. And the extraction can also happen in the form of CSV. For example, here you have something called as dataset, and you can also upload any CSV file. Okay. So there are different ways to extract the data, and once that is extracted, so through this connect, you can run it. So you can always connect. So this is my SFDC local, which means whichever org you have created, over there only you are going to get this connect tab, and from here you are going to get its related objects and fields which you want to extract. Then you can also connect from different other orgs as well. So if you go to connect to data, you get to see different other orgs as well for connection. Okay. And once everything is done, so basically in data flow and recipe, you do all the transformation. So for example, let's say if I click on create data flow, okay, or let me just open any one of the existing data flows only. So here we basically do the transformation. Fine. So here you have many nodes which helps you to do the transformation. For example, you have this SFDC digest, which brings you your local Salesforce orgs. The digest brings your records from other external logs, and the HMART is like any existing CSV file or dataset which is already there that you want to bring up. And then let's say you want to append, like you want to combine certain rows, and all you go for append. So these are all different kind of nodes which you have. You have the augment, you have the compute expression, compute relative, dimension to measure. Fine. Similarly, so these are basically the data layer where you do the transformation part. You have extracted those things, but in your own you want to add certain extra features, certain other fields, or certain related objects and fields over here. So that part you can always do in the recipe. So let's say if I open any one of the existing recipe, fine. So here also you get to have all the nodes. Okay. So for example, here you get to have, of course, you can always input the node, like you can add any existing nodes which you already have, either from your connect tab or from a CSV file. Okay. And then you have certain other things like the transform. So if you want to do certain transformation, you can do it from here. You can also filter out the data. Then you can aggregate, like let's say you have certain values. Okay, like let's say you all will be paying some amount, right? So whatever amount you all are paying, if I want to get a sum of those amount, so all the people who attend this course and who are willing to join the session as well from tomorrow, all the amount, if I want to aggregate, I can go for that. Fine. And then the discovery pretty comes in the AI part, which Sai was, I think, talking about in the beginning. So this is where the transformation takes place, and finally you load the data. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's all about the dashboard. So whatever things we are doing, ultimately we have to display to the end user, right? So for that thing, we can always go for the dashboard. Fine. So this is where you have the dashboard. So once you create and all, you build the dashboard, okay, for the end users. So maybe I can show you a couple of dashboard which is already there. Like let's say I open this dashboard, okay, and let's say I open this dashboard. So these are different dashboards which you see, okay. So currently you see this beautiful dashboard, right? But ultimately this has been built actually. Fine. For example, this is an opportunity dashboard where you select any close date. For example, I want to see all the information related to current year. If I just select that and if I click on update, I will get to see all the information. Okay. So for current year, what are the opportunity I have? Like these are all the opportunities which I have currently. Okay, from svtechsoft 𝐏𝐻 this is the one which I have. Okay. So then I can go further and filter out for account name. Let's say I want to see information related to ABC airport and this one. If I click on apply, so I don't see any result because there are no results. Okay, for current year, this three account doesn't have any result. So now let me go for all time over here. Okay, then I will see some results. Like for this three account, these are the result which I have. Fine. So this way you can do the filtering. Fine. And for example, right now if I click on show details, I can get to see further information about these three accounts. Okay, like what are the opportunity name, from which rep name, which amount they are coming from. Okay, all this information I get to see. Similarly, what product they are having and all. Then what are the stages and count of rows. Fine. So all these things has been ultimately built actually. Similarly, if I go over here, let's say this is a very basic dashboard which I built. For example, if I click on this industry, so industry is the field which is coming from account. If I click on this agriculture, you see how the data are getting changed over here. Okay, here you get to see the industry section where it's showing you industry, and here it's showing you further things of this industry. For industry agriculture, where it is from, which billing city is coming from, it's coming from Kolkata. Okay, and what are the account names? These two are the account names. Fine. So in this way, like let's say if I go for biotechnology, okay, so for biotechnology I get to see the results over here. Okay, so this is the way you can build the dashboard. These are some of the filters which I have. Fine. Let's say from here also, if I want, I can click agriculture, I can see the filters. Okay, similarly here there is another thing called binding part. Fine. For example, right now if you see, this is one chart which is built up, and if I select type, then it's showing me the type over here. Example, if I select billing country, see it's showing all the billing country over here. What is the billing country? The billing country is nothing but one field which you have in the account. uh, Sabishta, just mute yourself, some background noise is coming. Okay, thank you. Okay. So now if I click on industry, I get to see all the industries over here. Fine. Then here, these are my account industry which I'm having. Fine. You can see the top 5 account industry over here. Okay. Based upon the descending sum of amount, you can see the top 5 account industry. For example, if I want to see the top 10, then it will show you the top 10. If I want to see all, it will show you all. Okay. So this way you can build different dashboard. You can see like how dynamically this chart is getting changed on the selection of any particular values from here. Okay. So these things are something which are done by bindings, which comes in the advanced dashboard concepts. Fine. So that's the thing about this whole Tableau CRM, what you are going to learn. Okay. And coming to the advanced versions, so I think somebody was talking about it. I think it was Sai. So basically, that SQL part is related to coding. So for example, if I open any data set right now, let's say I open this one. Okay. And from here, let's say if I select some field, let me open something else. Let me open account CSV, for example. Okay, from here, let me select a field. Let's say account name. Okay, so these are the account name which you see over here, right? Now, here by simple point and click, you are able to see the results over here. Okay, but what is exactly the logic which is working in the backend? So when you click on this query mode, right, you have something called as this one. So this is exactly the result which is working in the backend for you. Okay, so this part is known as SAQL. Fine. So I think two of you are there from Salesforce. In Salesforce, you must have heard about SOQL and SOSL. SOQL means Salesforce Object Query Language. SOSL means Salesforce Object Search Language. So SAQL is like if you want to fetch certain records, right, in Salesforce. And SOSL is like if you want to search certain aspects like certain fields or certain things, right? SAQL is a completely different thing. SAQL, the full form is Salesforce Analytics Query Language, which also in a way helps you to fetch records. See, at the end of the day, this is analytics tool. This is only for fetching the records, right? For displaying the records. So exactly the code which is working for you in the backend, that is the SAQL part. Okay. So that SAQL part is something which we do from here. Fine. So now you will have something called as the advanced SQL section where certain things you won't be able to achieve through point and click. In that case, we have to go for this one. Okay, for example, if I show you one example related to demo data set. So from here, okay, let's say I populate the stage. Fine. And let's say I want to filter by close date. Okay, so let's say I filter something by close date. Fine. Let's say the close date is this current year. Okay, let me add it over here. Okay, so now here if you see, and let's say if I go this by descending order. Okay, let's say I go for sum of amount. Okay, and I go for it in descending order. Okay, so as you can see, this is the way it's appearing. Fine. So all these things I can see it over here. Fine. Now let's say I want to see one another thing called as total stages. So I am not able to see in chart mode the total count, right? That is something I cannot see over here. Okay, so ideally if you go to compare table there, at least still you can see, like from here if you want you can click for show totals, right? So here you get to see the total, but whenever you shift to chart mode, that total will not come up, that total will disappear. Okay, so let's say there's a requirement where I want to get the total stages. Okay, in that case you have to apply something called as SAQL. So that is known as Salesforce Analytics Query Language, where this is only applicable through that one. For example, currently you can see it's showing me the current year, but let's say there's a particular year which I want to have values only. So for that case, you can always mark those values. For example, here I can manually right now write it as 2020, 2021. Okay, so these things you won't be able to do through point and click. Like for exact years which you want to have get your result, those things you can mark it from here. Okay, let's say I also add uh, let me also add, let's say 2019. Okay, so this gives you all the values of stage for this years. Okay, and let's say right now, as I was telling you, I wanted to get the total stage. Fine. So that how will I get? I will just roll up. Okay, I will just do a roll up over here. Fine. And once the roll up is done, what I'm going to do, I will ensure that it's ordered by stage name. Okay, so right now let me order by stage name. So this particular thing which I did, I will just say q equal to order q by stage name. Okay, and right now for this generate, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a coalesce. Okay, so coalesce means, of course this will be explained in details in the course, but coalesce basically means, let's say there are certain null values for this stage, so those kind of things I can mark something. Okay, so I will just say it as total stages. Fine, and I'm displaying as stage name, and this one is as it is, which is fine, and limit q by this one. So let me just run it the query right now. Okay, invalid date range, month, close day. Okay, so here, because I'm just marking the year, right? I have to remove these things. Okay, these things are not needed because this is only year. Fine. So that's another thing, like whenever you build these things, you can always refer to this things what you have over here. Okay, so I just need the close date here. Fine, and let me run the query, right? So as you can see, I have one thing called as total stage, right? see all the sum of amount you get to see in the total stage right now. Okay, so now if I go to my chart mode, okay, see, because it is in descending order, the total stage is appearing at the top, but if I set it to ascending order, it will come to bottom. Fine, like let me just set it to ASC. Fine, something like that. Ideally you should see the total stage at the bottom, right? So right now if I go to my chart mode, you see you're not only able to see the sum of amount of each of the stages, but if I want to get the total of this, I am able to get that in the chart format as well. Fine, through point and click you can do it in the compare table, but in chart format you won't be able to do. So this is one scenario which I explained. And there are certain scenarios where you will have two data set and you have to combine those two data set. All those appending and all those stuffs you can always do in SQL mode. That is, you have to manually type certain programming language, that is SQL itself, to get the desired results. Fine. And similar happens with the case of bindings. For example, this whole thing which I did, this is all related to the concept of binding, where this particular toggle which is there, that is driving this chart. Fine, so that is happening through binding concept. So what I did, basically here one toggle I brought it. Okay, this is the toggle which has been brought. Fine, and here you have stored this information, and over here what I have done, usually what happens, like, see, for example, over here, like if I just 1 minute. So usually what happens, you always have a field in the group Y, right? So group Q by, you have certain fields. Fine, like I will just quickly show you. Instead of that field, what I'm doing, I am just building a binding where it's pulling the data from that particular toggle which I have, that is type. So instead of group Q, so I could have written group Q by type, group Q by billing country, group Q by industry, something like that. Okay, but I am, instead of doing that, what I'm doing, I've just built a binding. For example, if I just go to the same data set once again, that is demo dataset builder 4. Let me go to for example, if I bring the type over here, okay, okay, and right now if I move to SQL, you see this is written group Q by type, isn't it? Group Q by type. Okay, similarly, let's say if I bring group Q by billing country, okay, let me add billing country over here. Fine, this is my billing country. You see billing country is coming here, and if I go to query mode, you see it's showing me account ID dot billing country, right? So here what I'm doing, instead of that group by, so usually that's the code we write, right? We usually mention the fields over here, group Q by type, group Q by billing country. So if I write group Q by billing country, it will show me the billing country. If I write group Q by type, it will show me the opportunity type. But instead of that, what I'm doing, I already have done a bindings over. This is known as bindings, okay, where you get to see the double curly braces, that is always related to bindings. So what is happening over here is based upon the user selection. Okay, I am not manually typing in the group Q by type, billing country, something like that. Based upon whatever the user selects, based on that selection, what is happening here in the group by, it will populate that thing. So whenever user selects type, it will write group Q by type. Whenever user selects billing country, it will write group Q by billing country. Now that is something which is driven by bindings. Okay, so that binding is already created as a static step. Fine. So let me see which is that static step. Let me just check it over here. Custom query. Okay, so I have built a query called custom query 1. Fine. So here, like if I just click on preview, so here you see I have this table. Fine, what is happening, I have this display type, billing country and industry, which you see at the top. This is exactly the display, and here I'm mentioning this part, just like I selected account ID dot type, I showed you right on the data set. So this dimension I've selected over here. So what it's doing, this binding which you see right from here only, that is directly pulling it instead of manually typing it. Okay, so from that particular table, in that dimension part, it's basically pulling the values. It's basically pulling the dimension directly instead of me typing it over here, type or something like that, type account ID or billing country, something like that. Instead of me typing it, it's directly pulling it. So this is the thing of binding, which you learn in the advanced dashboard section. Okay, and as I showed you the advanced SQL as well, one scenario. And of course, other than this, the AI part was something which was being talking about, which you have in the story section. So Einstein Analytics helps you to evaluate, like, how your business and sales could have performed better, where, it gives you certain story types. For example, here I have this story type, this demo class Titanic occurrence. Okay. So here Einstein Analytics helps you to, let's see if any stories I have opened. Okay, it will take some time to load, but yeah, for example, this got loaded. Okay, so it Einstein is what it does, it basically furthers, delves deep down and find out the reason, like what things could have been performed better. Let's say you have some sales in certain regions and some things are going low, so it can easily point out what are the probability, what are the factors for which the sales are declining or on the lower side, and it can suggest you some ideas on how that can be increased. Okay, so these all stuffs is something which you can do through this Einstein Analytics builder part. Okay, the discovery part. So these things comes under AI, which will be covered very minimum actually. So let me set the expectation very clear to you. The AI part is something which is not going to be delved much into. This course will be mainly on the analytics part, like the ones which I showed you, how you do the transformation on the data layer, how you display everything on the dashboard, how things can be manipulated on the dashboard and can be shown properly. So only in the last session, I will just give you certain suggestion about the stories and all, because the stories, discovery, all these things are actually, like, it started from like a couple of years back, and it is actually progressing towards that direction. Fine. So I am also currently learning the discovery part, but this course will be mainly dealing with you on the analytics side of the Tableau CRM. Okay. So that's the thing. And I think with that, I don't have anything else to explain. So I think Sai, you got like what you are going to learn on the advanced SQL and on the advanced dashboard section. And to know more about the basics, I mean the demo video is already shared, which Sharmishta has watched. You can always watch that. So that's the thing. Any question up till here?
Once can you show me that in the tab launcher where we have to click analytics?
Sorry.
In the tab launcher, we should type analytics.
Yes, in the app launcher, you can always type analytics. That is one way. There are many other ways. Like you can also duplicate the tab, and what you can do after this slash, right? You can just write analytics over here. In that way, also you can open it. Fine. So let's say if you write analytics, that will also open you analytics. Another way is like if you just go over here is analytics tab. Here also you get to see the analytics. Fine. So here also you get to see it. Okay. This is not your analytics studio, but here you get to see the components of analytics over here as well. Okay.
Then to move into the studio.
To move into studio, as I told you, you can duplicate and just write analytics as I did, or you can from the app launcher you can click on analytics studio. This one. Anybody else has any things to ask? Okay.
I have one question.
Yeah, Ramesh.
So this analytical studio, so this will be available in DevOps, right?
No, this won't be available in DevOps. As I told you, this is a completely separate product. That's why I shared you a link. No, see, I shared you one link. So this is a link where you can have your free Salesforce Tableau CRM developer. Or in developer you won't get, because this is a separate product altogether. This needs to be purchased. Fine. But yeah, as developers, Traded always provides free links, so you will get it from here. Okay.
Okay. And one more question, like, do we need to have any background knowledge, I mean, coding knowledge about this one? I mean, before taking this course?
Coding knowledge of what?
I mean, any coding knowledge or something? I mean, Salesforce development, coding knowledge or something like that?
No, you don't need to know anything. You don't need to know anything. Yeah. Fine. Anybody else has any further questions?
Yeah, I have one question, Avinash.
Yes,
So when you said binding and SQL, So is this something we need to, it will automatically populate by Salesforce, or we need to write it down, all the codes which you showed us?
SQL coding, we have to write it down. As I told you, that is a coding thing. So SQL is already done, right? Which I showed you. It's whatever you select something, it's already reflected in the backend as SQL. But certain requirements, like I showed you the total stages, if I want to populate as a chart mode, those things I have to manually type some things, which I did right now, isn't it? So those
Okay,
things you have to
okay.
type manually. Bindings part, of course, Salesforce helps you to build that. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah,
So now,
basically,
if my understanding is correct, based on our dashboard development, automatically in the backend, this actual it will be written by Salesforce itself. If any changes or any complex changes are required, that time we
yes,
need to do it manually, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Are we learning anything about Tableau, or is this only completely on Salesforce?
This is Salesforce CRM Analytics, which was earlier known as Salesforce Tableau CRM, and
Mhm.
earlier known as Salesforce Einstein Analytics. Tableau is a different thing. We are just
Oh,
learning
that
about
is good.
Salesforce CRM Analytics. Yeah.
Okay,
Or
I was
Salesforce
thinking.
Tableau CRM, Salesforce Einstein Analytics. Basically, the names are same only. Fine. Currently, it's known as Salesforce CRM Analytics. Earlier, it was known as Salesforce Tableau CRM. Previous to that, it was known as Salesforce Einstein Analytics. Popularly, it is called as Salesforce Einstein Analytics. Like most people still know it as Salesforce Einstein Analytics.
Okay. And we are creating reports, right? After this, like, because we need to create a Tableau reports in the end. So are we doing that here?
We are creating the dashboard, right? Like these things which I showed you, these are all dashboards, isn't it?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this dashboard is a combination of data set. We have nothing called as reports over here. So these things which you see, these are all data sets actually. These all things are coming from data set. This chart, these filters, all these are coming from data sets. All lenses, you can say. Fine. So instead of report, we call that as lenses. So in Analytics
Okay.
Studio,
Yeah.
you have this
Mhm.
something called as lenses. So what I think that report which you're talking about, that is nothing but this lenses only. For example, if I
Yeah.
open
Yeah.
this lens, this is actually a
Mhm.
report which is only populating, right? So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. Thank you.
So, Avinash, like how the opportunities are there in the market on this one?
Yeah, the opportunity is immense. As I told you, this is one of the analytics tool, just like you have the Power BI, Tableau, okay, and many other analytics tool as well. So there's definitely a lot of scope. I think Sir Mr. was also saying in the beginning, right? Some months or some years down the line, this is going to boom actually. Of course, this is just a prediction which we are all doing, because at the end of the day, nobody knows about the future, right? I mean, you never know. With technology, that is one problem. You never know what kind of things booms and what kind of thing dips, right? So currently, as far the market scenario is concerned, there's a huge scope. But again, you can do your own research also. But at the end of the day, future is never guaranteed. That is what I can say. So yeah.
And one more question, like when we are trying on this, right, on for job opportunities, will they ask anything else like Salesforce admin experience or Salesforce development experience along with this one?
See, in my case, I switched companies, of course, and I also given a lot of Tableau CRM interviews. I don't have Salesforce development knowledge. Okay, of course, I have a bit of years of experience in Salesforce admin, but I don't have any experience in Salesforce development. So yeah, to answer your question, you will only be asked question related to this one if you are applying for this role, of course. If you are applying for Salesforce Analytics or Salesforce CRM Analytics developer role, then you will be only asked question related to this.
Okay.
But again, let's say you are giving an interview where you need to support Salesforce, Tableau, CRM, as well as support something a bit on the development side and admin side. Then of course you will be asked. So it depends upon the requirement. But ideally, you get, so in the market currently, there are roles specific to this only, which is popping up. Fine. So yeah, if those kind of roles you're applying, then you'll be asked questions related to this only.
Okay. Got it.
Do we need to get certification on this? Like other certification, like Salesforce admin? or dev? Because in every project, whenever we go for interview, they ask, are you certified? So do we need any certification on this?
Yeah, there's a certification called Salesforce. I mean, I don't know if the name got changed. In my time, it was known as Salesforce Einstein Ethics certification. Okay, you can just check the current name currently. So you can go for that certification.
Yeah, because when I attended some sales for dev position, they're asking, unless you have certification, we don't hire you. That's why.
Yeah, absolutely. I do understand. So yeah, you can go for this Salesforce CRM Ethics specialist certification.
Okay, and this course is for 1 month?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Fine. Anybody else wants to ask anything or want to clarify any doubts? Okay, fine. So I think there's no further questions or doubts. Then thanks a lot for attending the session, and yeah, have a great time. So bye bye
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.